Hi everyone, so we've moved on to our new unit and we're going to be looking at stacking blocks. So this is a little pre-lesson before you start getting into volume, and we'll talk more about that as we keep going. But right now they're going to be using blocks, and I'll use linking cubes to show you the idea of what they're doing. And they're going to be creating some rectangular prisms. Now remembering a cube is also a type of rectangular prism, so if you see cubes, that's also fine. So what I'm doing is I'm taking linking cubes, and I've made some rows of 3 here, or some columns of 3, and I'm going to start putting them together to make a larger rectangle. So I use different colors so you could really see how it's connected and how many cubes I'm putting together in each column here to make my rectangular prism. All right, so if I see a figure like this, now I can see that it's only one layer, and I'm using columns of 3 to build that. So if I want to say how many I've used in all, I've color coordinated them a little bit. So the math to find out how many in total here for this rectangle is 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. And I can just add up each row or column here. And to show me that there's 12 altogether. Now, this one layer of squares should also remind you a little bit about area. So if I wanted to find out how many squares I needed for that whole thing, since it's only one layer, I could just do 4 times 3, which would be 12 here. Now I'm going to add another layer exactly like this on top. Okay, so now how many cubes have I used? Now I'm starting to make my rectangular prism here. So if I knew that there were 12 on the first layer, then that means there are 12 on the second layer, and 12 plus 12 equals 24. So now I've used 24, I put them together, cubes. Now I can even add a third layer. Okay, so if I know each layer is 12, then I can do 12 plus 12 plus 12 for the 3 layers. Okay, and that means I've used 36 blocks altogether. All right, now there is another way to figure out how many cubes I've used. So I already know through all my math that I've used 36 cubes to make this rectangular prism. So let's think back a little bit. How did I get my first layer? All right, well, let's go back to that first layer. I thought of it just like area, and I thought, okay, 4 times 3 for that first layer to get that. And then I added 2 more layers on top. So all together, there's 12 3 times here. So 4 times 3 will give me 12. And then if I multiply that by the number of layers, then I get 36. 4 times 3 is 12, times 3 is 36. I could also just think of it the other way. 3 times 3 is 9, times 4 is 36. No matter how I do this math, I get 36 because when you're multiplying, it does not matter the order. But basically what I've done is I found the area of the first layer, and that told me how many blocks I used for the first layer, and then I multiplied it by how many layers I had, so counting up this way. All right, and as we get into doing volume and coming up with a formula, you're going to be thinking about how we did this. So we took this measurement along the front, the 4 times 3, which is the length times width, and then this, how many layers tall would be the height, so 3 layers tall. So when you're figuring out how many blocks in a rectangular prism today and tomorrow, you're going to be remembering that we can multiply those 3 dimensions to find out how many blocks we've used in total. So they'll take you through it step by step, but your whole goal today is to figure out how many blocks they have used to make the rectangular prisms. So this is a little more fun today, a little more hands-on. I hope you have fun with that and enjoy your new unit.